Welcome back to my channel. Today we examine a moment that instantly triggered commentary around the world: Donald Trump reacting to Vladimir Putin's series of meetings with a powerful Russian billionaire. The clip spread fast because it combined three ingredients: geopolitics, money, and personal pride. Trump didn't speak as a detached observer. He spoke as someone who once negotiated directly with world leaders and believes he understands Putin more than anyone else in Washington. His reaction was less about Russia itself and more about what those meetings mean for his reputation, for American leverage, and for the global hierarchy of power. From the moment Putin was seen hosting a high-net-worth Russian oligarch in back-to-back private sessions, analysts began asking one question: who is Putin signaling to, foreign governments or domestic elites? And Trump quickly stepped in to supply his interpretation. He framed it as proof that Putin calculates strength based on leaders, not systems. In Trump's telling, Putin's comfort meeting major businessmen is a sign of confidence under weak U.S. leadership and a reminder that, in Trump's words, the world respects money and decisive authority, not committees and press releases. Trump began by downplaying the idea that Putin's billionaire meetings were secretive or shocking. He insisted this is how Putin always consolidates power, through private economic loyalties, not public treaties. But then Trump pivoted to the real point. He contrasted how he believes Putin behaved when Trump was in office versus now. He portrayed the meetings as part of a broader pattern: Russia acting openly and assertively because no one in Washington is scary enough, rich enough, or tough enough to counterweight Putin's inner circle. He leaned into his usual theme that America misreads incentive structures. In Trump's view, Western diplomats talk about rules and values, while Putin plays a game of leverage, capital, loyalty, and fear. Trump cited the meetings not as random but as choreography, a visual reminder to Russian elites that Putin still controls access to wealth and safety, and a visual reminder to the world that Russia doesn't wait for permission. Then Trump made it personal. He claimed that if he were dealing with Putin, those meetings would have had a different subtext entirely, that Putin would not dare project strength so openly in ways that challenge American dominance. He said Putin only performs this kind of theater when he senses weakness in the United States. In Trump's reading, the billionaire meetings were not domestic optics. They were a message broadcast internationally: Russia remains confident, uncontained, and unafraid. Trump also used the moment to revive his long-standing argument that America misunderstands oligarchic states. He said Western governments think sanctions are enough to frighten billionaires into pressuring Putin, but in his view, these men are not independent actors, they are extensions of state power. Trump went so far as to imply that Putin meets these businessmen not to collect advice but to impose discipline. The meetings are not consultations, they are loyalty checks. He then pivoted back to the United States. He mocked the idea that current U.S. officials could counteract such a strategy with speeches or symbolic policies. He described Washington as performing for newspapers, while in his telling, Putin performs for billionaires, generals, and real power brokers. Trump's reaction framed the meetings as a lesson. Power is demonstrated through who you sit with and who sits, but Trump didn't stop at critique. He used the moment to reassert his own strategic philosophy. He claimed that when he was in office, Putin respected him because Trump signaled unpredictability and personal leverage, that Putin never knew what Trump might do next. He repeated his frequent warning: dictators only test leaders they think they can read. By contrast, he portrayed the current administration as transparent, rule-bound, and emotionally predictable, qualities he calls fatal in negotiation. He also suggested that the billionaire meeting should not be read as economic news but as a prelude to something larger. In Trump's framing, Putin consolidates elites when preparing for escalations, whether external or internal. Trump warned that when oligarchs line up behind Putin in public, it typically means decisions with high geopolitical cost are already being prepared behind closed doors. Then he deployed a comparison that instantly gained traction. He argued that when foreign billionaires cluster around authoritarian leaders, they strengthen the state. When U.S. billionaires cluster around politicians, they weaken the state. In other words, he claimed America has inverted incentives. Its wealth is aligned against government rather than behind it, while Russia aligns money under centralized command. He used that contrast to argue that America's internal power map is fractured and exploitable. Trump ended his reaction with a prediction that Putin's public proximity to his billionaire network signals not softness but readiness. He claimed Putin shows these men to the world only when he is either consolidating gains or about to make moves he knows will demand their obedience. In Trump's telling, the West sees oligarchs as leverage. Observers noted something striking. Trump never treated the identity as irrelevant. For Trump, the name didn't matter, the configuration of power did. What mattered was the geometry: Putin at the center, money at the table, and the West watching from the outside. Trump essentially said, "This is a world you can only influence if you understand it, and Washington does not." His tone fused resentment with self-validation. He positioned his interpretation as superior to analysts and diplomats, casting himself not just as a former president but as a rare native speaker of power politics, someone who sees what others miss. Whether one agrees or not, his reaction was not idle commentary, it was self-contrast. Every sentence about Putin was a sentence about Trump. He made sure viewers left with a binary: either the United States is governed by people who understand how authoritarian capital works, or it is governed by people who only understand press conferences. Trump, of course, placed himself in the first category and the current leadership in the second. Even his critics admitted one thing: he framed the event not as an isolated meeting but as a signal in a larger contest of signaling, the language of power elites use to communicate with each other. To Trump, meetings of billionaires around Putin are not about policy but about hierarchy, a reminder that in Russia, loyalty is purchased with threat and wealth simultaneously, and that such a system is not moved by Western moral pressure. Whether his interpretation is correct is a separate academic question. What matters for this video is what his reaction reveals about Trump's worldview. He sees geopolitics not as ideology but as leverage, not as institutions but as personalities, not as laws but as trades. Every billionaire in a chair is a message, and every message is a move. This is how Donald Trump reacted to Vladimir Putin's meetings with a Russian billionaire, not as news, but as coded power theater. Whether you agree with his interpretation or not, his reaction exposes the divide between how Washington talks about power and how Russia uses it. If you want more breakdowns of these high-stakes signals between world leaders, make sure to subscribe, hit like, and tell us in the comments: is Trump correctly reading Putin's playbook, or is he projecting his own worldview onto the scene? See you in the next one.